Sandra?
How are you? Hello.
How's Kirsten this morning?
Good. How are you?
Anybody on Zoom? Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to call to order this Johnson County Board of Commissioners public meeting on Monday, July 24th, 2023 at 10 o'clock a.m. Please pray with us if you care to, and then we'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Would you bow with me for a moment of prayer, please, dear Heavenly Father? We've so many things to be grateful of. That one, to be able to worship you openly, two, to live in this wonderful, great, free country. Dear Lord, I'm reminded today of the parable of the mustard seed, where we witness one gentle deed, how it's carried forward all over the world as it's repeated time and time again. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Clerk, approval to renew the 12-month service agreement with Hiram J. Hash and Sons, Inc.
Approved, sir.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Thanks,
Opposed?
Trina.
Motion carries. Thanks, Trina. Public Safety Communications Approval of Maintenance Agreement with Nationwide Power. Heath is not here, so if there's any questions.
I move to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. This is pending legal.
Yep.
Is that good with motion and second?
Mhm.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Parks Department, approval for Inspiration Music Fest on September 16, 2023, pending legal.
Move to approve.
Second.
Pending legal.
Have a motion and a second. Any further? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Thanks, Kevin. Highway upcoming CCMG 23-2 funding application.
Good morning, Daniel Johnston, Highway Engineer. Yes, so this is about our upcoming 2023-2 funding application for NDOT's Community Crossing Matching Grant program. Been working on the application and the calculations and identifying, I'm sorry, can you hear me? Sorry, I apologize.
Yeah.
The road segments that this project or that would be involved in this project, kind of a quick step back. Our recent community crossing applications have really focused on concrete residential streets. And as a result of that, we have maintained or in the process, because one of those contracts is ongoing this summer. At the end of that, we will have maintained all of the concrete residential streets that the Highway Department assessed as kind of our top priority streets. That assessment occurred a few years ago. So we've kind of reached that milestone of addressing those really poor condition concrete roads. So this particular application, we've decided to shift our focus to some of our other thoroughfare streets that have higher volumes. This would allow us to do more of a longer term or attempt to get a longer term result out of the maintenance and improvements. Right now, we're still refining the cost estimate. So, but we're anticipating that we'll be able to ask or apply for the maximum award from NDOT. So we're anticipating the cost to be around, the total project cost to be around $2 million or potentially a little higher than that based on what our final numbers will come out to. So I will have in the next couple of days that final letter for you all to sign stating that final estimated cost. And so that's where we are with that application right now.
And which roads are you talking about specifically?
Good question. So some of our major collectors or minor arterials, particularly Morgantown Road, 3 segments of Morgantown Road from from Fairview down to Stones Crossing. That we are identifying that'll probably be a deeper mill and overlay treatment. Again, looking for more of a longer term solution for that road segment. Also, 1 segment of Peterman between County Line Road and Fairview. And then also we're identifying or considering a segment of Smith Valley Road west of Morgantown Road. That one, we're looking at potentially further refining whether as a means to control the total cost of the project. We're considering just milling and overlaying the lanes, the travel lanes, not necessarily the shoulders. We know that Smith Valley Road is currently under design, so we just want to maintain the pavement in good condition. We don't want to over invest where it will be improved in the future.
And so whatever you do on Smith Valley will work towards the expansion.
Yes, and really just to maintain the pavement condition between now and the time of that future project.
Because when we 4-lane Smith Valley, are we going to keep the current lanes where they are?
That's still being
For eastbound
assessed.
traffic?
Yes, more or less, yes, but
Yeah.
the exact location, it may need to shift due to utilities, but that's still being
Yeah.
refined.
And then just an aside, real quick on improve what you're doing on Morgantown. Luke and I have been out there, and I think you've been out there also, Daniel, that small addition right there at Russell Lane, and the need to do something with the drainage ditches down along the edge of the road. Is that something we can do in conjunction with this, or do you know?
Luke Maston, Highway Supervisor. What we're talking about for this community crossings project would just be a mill and fill of the existing road, or no widening. We can't afford to do
So no
anything
ditch
like
work?
that. Yeah. As Daniel mentioned, typically, it seems like all we can afford to do is to mill and replace the surface, usually 1.5 inches. What we're trying to do on some of these higher volume roads is try to mill out more, maybe along the lines of 3 inches to 4 inches, actually get some intermediate in there in addition to the surface overlay, and get better performance than we've been able to get with just the surface. But the work itself is just the road work, the milling and the paving.
All right, I'm just curious. That's
Yeah.
something we need to look at out
Yeah.
there.
It definitely is, but it's not something that we'd be able to include in this.
Yeah.
For one, for cost, and 2, it's kind of a different scope. So
All right, thank you. I move to approve.
Well, I think we will once he sends the letter, but I'll approve too.
Hmm?
They've got a letter coming to us in a day or two.
Yes.
Have a motion and second. Are we approving
I would do pending legal, I guess.
pending legal?
Yeah.
Okay. Motion and second, good with that?
Yep.
Have a motion and second. Any further? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks, Luke. Thanks, Daniel. And I'm gonna, for the sake of the mayor's here, and I know he probably would like to get back to work, so we're gonna move to number 6. Approval of interlocal agreement with City of Franklin, Indiana for the Graham and Paul Hand Roads Roundabout Project. Hi, Mayor. Tried to sneak in, didn't work, did it?
Thank you.
Hey, good morning, gentlemen, ladies. Appreciate you taking a look at this and we're asking you to work with the city of Franklin, and we have a major road plan that I want to call it heading forward in the next couple of years. And if you see the red line that says Graham Road Extension 2023, it's down at the bottom of the page. We have already got that one contracted. Should be started by in the next month, I would think. We're waiting on a little right away to get signed. And then you go on over and you see the 2024 roundabout Owenwood and Graham. The city of Franklin is going to do that one next year, along with what we're asking to partner with the roundabout at Owenwood and Paulhan. We're going to try to do both of those roundabouts next year, put them together, hopefully get a better pricing for that. And also where you see the dotted line, the Paulhan Boulevard improvements for 2024. We're still working with a couple of people that's interested in that Essex, the property there that belongs where the development would be for Paulhan Road. That is a Kelsey property. So anyway, we're looking to do this next year. We want to bid it in December and spring construction. So that is the ask, and I did see that the commissioners had filled in. If you did vote to do that, it would be $675,000. And we're also going to the city of the town of Whiteland after. We wanted to come to the commissioners first and see if we can get buy-in, and then go to town of Whiteland and talk with them. And they've given every indication they want to participate. And the reason that we're asking for this, the Whiteland and the county to participate, it's right at the edge of our county line where Franklin, Whiteland, and the county all meet together. Franklin actually has one corner and the county actually has the other three corners. And I think that Whiteland at some time is going to want to work with the county on some of that for development. So that's what the ask is, and that's why we're here. And do you have any questions for me?
The only question, I just want to say one thing before we get into this. I thought the amount was like 750 instead of 675.
That was the request. We have been able to come up with 675 solid to commit to, and then in conversation with mayor, if there's any way to get more down the road, we can always amend that.
Okay.
But we want to make sure what we promise we can deliver.
Okay.
So
I know that we talked tonight numerous times about this, and I thought the number was 750. So I just wanted some clarification on that. So
I think they'll take anything they can
Well,
get.
just from the city side, we appreciate the fact that you're able to come up with $675,000 to help with the project. We anticipate it's going to be about $2.5 million by the time you do the engineering, inspection, and the work is what we figure. So that'll be real close to helping in a three-way split. And you never know what the final numbers are until it's over anyway. So we're just anticipating with what we've seen in the past, that's probably where the price is going to be. And our goal is, as a city of Franklin, if you get off at the Franklin exit and you stop at right now, you got one stoplight there at McDonald's, you can get on the truck route. And we're hoping that we'll be able, when this is all finished, you'll be able to get on the truck route for the industrial businesses in that area. They can drive all the way to the Whiteland exit and not stop because there'll be roundabouts. I'm not roundabout crazy. Everybody thinks that we
Yes,
want to
you
build a bunch of roundabouts. We don't. We just think that roundabouts in certain places make sense.
In certain,
We don't want to put them where they don't make sense. So
I can name you a couple, not in Franklin. And I don't, Mayor, and you tell me, I don't think you'd be insulted if we could come up with more as this thing goes along, especially if the project goes over.
I'd really appreciate that if that could happen. So thank you.
The only thing I've got, Mayor, is under the section 4 terms for payment of the commitment amount, 4.2, I think you used the word there, amount is less than 1/3. I think it should say more than 1/3. Our commitment is 1/3 of the project, to the engineering and all of that, or not to exceed 675,000. So that should read there, that, because here's, it says upon completion of the construction of Graham Hand Roundabout, the above payment, $675,000 amount is less than 1/3 of the total cost of design and construction of the Graham Hand Roundabout. The city shall pay the county the difference. And it should say more, not less.
Okay, well, I will leave that up to Adam and Mr. Huddleston to word that the way it needs to sound.
Yeah, just change the word less to more.
Yeah.
And you'll have it. I
Thank
would
you,
move
Mr.
to approve.
Gadberry.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Yes,
Mayor,
sir.
I appreciate all that you're doing and I appreciate your willingness to work with the county as you always have. And I hope we can continue to do that in the
Well,
future, sir.
I believe we have a good working relationship with the county and we want to keep it that way. And I think it's pretty huge that the county is willing to reach out to and work with the town of Whiteland and the city of Franklin, and it's highly appreciated. Thank you.
And it's going to benefit all of Johnson County, sir. So thank you very much. Okay, back to number 1 under Board of Commissioners, ratification of letter to City of Greenwood regarding bridges 602 and 605.
Move to approve.
Well, before we do that, I'm not so sure that we actually can do this. I talked to Jane Rink. She called me. She's with Duke Energy, and she had Stan, what's his name, the president of Duke, had her call me in regard to the pole. And I explained the situation, the guide wires, and what if we built the bridge that went across or over the top of the guide wires in part. She went to her engineers and they said they need to see some drawings on that. And that's typical kind of stuff. So what I was going to do is ask Luke if they could maybe show the drawing where the bridge moves to the south some 10 feet or whatever you think might be suitable. And we'll give it to them and see if they have a problem with it. That would eliminate some of the right-of-way acquisition that we've talked about in regard to the bridge, right? So anyway, I told her I would ask Luke to get that and we'll get it to her and get their response on it.
Luke Maston, Highway Supervisor. I think the item on the agenda is just to ratify the letter that we already gave Greenwood with our offer. Now, obviously, there have been some issues that have come up, particularly with utility relocation that might make that offer unreasonable or not doable. But that was our initial offer to the city to try to partner and get the project completed.
Yeah, I understand that, but the letter doesn't address what if we don't do anything?
So in looking at options that would allow us to construct or reconstruct the bridge or a new bridge in the event that the utility lines cannot be located or relocated, in particular the overhead Duke lines. In terms of shifting the existing bridge south of where it is, that's not a viable option. We had looked at a potential redesign option that would build a new bridge further to the north. And that's where the guy wire question came from, Commissioner West. Even if we were able to construct a portion of the bridge over the guy wires, it doesn't look like there's enough room to completely avoid right-of-way acquisition. we could minimize it significantly, potentially go from 2 parcels to 1. But because of how far north we would have to move it, and then the additional work that we'll need to the north to tie back in and to build our retaining walls, I just don't see a situation where we could build it with no additional right-of-way acquisition.
Yeah, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that any movement to the south would eliminate some
Mhm.
right-of-way acquisition. That's all I'm saying. So if you can maybe get something that I can give her that would show how much you want to come to the south and how much we would be traversing over their guide wires.
We can do
I'll give
that.
it to them and see what they say. I mean,
We can do that. The issue becomes the right-of-way acquisition, even if we're able to minimize it. It requires us to go back into the design process and redo our environmental document. The original plan was to build the project within the existing right-of-way that's there. The issue is that's a very time-consuming process. Even if we're able to coordinate with Duke, the fact that we would have to go that far back in design would likely prevent us from being able to let the project in fiscal year 24, where the funding currently is identified.
so in essence, what you're indicating here is what I just said, that the letter doesn't incorporate. Basically, you're saying we can't build it.
We could build a replacement where the existing bridge is now, but that would require Smith Valley Road to be
But
closed.
and
which
we're
is
all in agreement that we can't take that bridge out of service for up to 2 years.
Correct.
So given that, what you're saying is we can't build it. And I don't buy that. I don't buy that we can't build it.
We can't build it in fiscal year 24 if we change the scope significantly from what's already been designed.
But we can build it, right?
We can build anything,
So
but
that's
if
what
we-
we've
if
got to
we
work towards
if we
is how.
can't let the project in fiscal year 24, we would have to build it without federal funding involvement.
Then we don't build it.
We can look
So
at,
that's the other option we give Greenwood, is that if it's, as you indicated, there's no way the county can do it because we're going to lose the federal funding.
Mhm.
And we don't have the county funding to support that, then we would simply say to Greenwood, here's your 3 options now, this, that, and we don't do anything, and the burden becomes theirs completely.
there is a 4th potential option, which would be to apply for funding, but for a future year as well. That would give us time to take into account the acquisition of right-of-way, to go through the process to redo the environmental document. It would delay the project by a few years, definitely, but would allow us to do that redesign and avoid a closure of Smith Valley Road during construction.
But in that case, the city of Greenwood could do that, right?
They could, yes,
If they choose to.
yes.
So, maybe the option, that we would have another option there would be that we just give them the amount of money that we were going to put towards that project. Just give it to them, let them decide how they want to do it going forward.
That's a potential option, sure.
If they could get it prepared within that time frame, correct?
Well, no, they wouldn't be able to get the federal funding on it, but they could apply later for federal funding.
Yeah, if we or the city were to potentially apply for funding, the next call for projects for funding in that area would be this fall for fiscal year 27. So that time frame would allow enough time to update the cost estimate, do some more coordination, Commissioner West, as you mentioned, with Duke, to come up with what design would work, would accommodate where their facilities are right now, and then obviously allow Smith Valley Road to stay open during construction. So our initial offer to partner with Greenwood was made. Unfortunately, with the timing, then that potentially changed what that offer would be. But the ratification of the initial offer, that offer was already made. And obviously, we need to have some continued discussions with Greenwood and potentially offer a new option or several new options. But that would probably be separate from what we initially offered them based on what we knew at the time.
Yeah, I think that the original letter still needs to be ratified since it was delivered. If we want to do a subsequent correspondence, we can do that in the future after we get some more information and future conversations, but.
Yeah, the initial letter is what's brought us to this discussion. So, and Luke, as I've discussed with you, I'm more for the option of delaying this and going back for financing to do from the government to do the fourth option as we had discussed. So I haven't changed my tune yet on that, just for record.
The motion still stands on the ratification of the letter.
I don't have any problem with that, other than it's not, it doesn't complete the thought process. It just states two options, which are really moot at this point anyway. It's kind of useless, but
They were,
I'll
the-
second it. Go ahead and
I think
pass
it's just more of a formality at this
Yeah.
point, just to.
Yeah,
it.
they've
It
already
doesn't
received it.
doesn't do anything. That's my point. I mean, why?
and I would say we're not done,
Pull the
obviously.
letter.
I don't think this is not done by a long shot. This is just
Well,
a
I know, that's what I'm
formalization
saying,
of this
yeah.
ratification of the letter. That's all it is. As you can tell, there's a lot more discussion that needs to happen. There's more options on the table. So we just need to move this forward and there'll be a lot more options and you'll be back, I guarantee you, on this.
Yep.
So
I second it. Yeah.
I have a motion and a second. Any further? Being none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Thanks,
Aye.
Luke.
Thanks, Luke.
Thank you.
Approval of the Peters Franklin Limited Engagement Letter for 2023 General Obligation Bonds Municipal Advisory Services.
move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further? Being none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approval of Barnes and Thornburg LLP engagement letter for 2023 general obligation bonds, council services. Who were the lower priced? This time.
Then they used to do this for 20. Not to exceed 20.
I think it was 25 last
20,
year.
25 last
I
year.
thought it used to be 20. No, 25. I move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries. And I've got to ask this question to Wes, and you can just nod your head. Wes, are we still moving forward with advanced?
Yeah.
Okay. Award and approval of construction contract for Johnson County Courthouse Repair Project, Advanced Restoration Contractors LLC. Discussion, that's it.
I don't think we got an option at this point, do we, based on what Wes said? And
Well, I think from the insurance companies, I just want it to be on public record, you know, they are substantially lower than the other bids we have. No experience with this company. But the insurance is only willing to go to this number because they said it's satisfactory bid. Wes has looked at it, says it's satisfactory. I mean, I'll move to approve, but I just hope to God we're not back here in 6 months rehashing this out with problems that arise with this. I hope that's not the case, but everybody saw the numbers. So
I'll second it.
I just don't know if there's an obligation on the insurance company we can go back on, that they will cover the shortfall if we
Well,
get
yeah,
into an issue
yeah.
with you. I think we've all had this discussion.
Yeah. I suggested we put the insurance company on notice that if there's problems with it, then there's costs incurred in it that they'd be responsible for or share that responsibility by.
And we did, they have received an email stating that and moving that forward. And I think with any company that is new to us, I think we're going to have these questions. I think their answer to why they were lower it's very justified because they have their own scaffolding, which is a big part of the cost. So I think,
Could be good.
yeah, we're not giving them any more of a chance than we would anybody else with everything that we've done and the research Wes has done and the research I've done. I think we're going to be okay, but we can never guarantee that, but we couldn't guarantee that with the other two either, that there's not going to be things unforeseen. Insurance should cover unforeseen costs, so I don't think that'll be an issue. But anyway, if that makes anybody feel more comfortable or not. I have a motion.
You got a motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Wes. I know that was a big one for you. Approval of addendum to agreement with Gateway Services, Access Johnson County Public Transit.
Move to approve, unless Becky wants to say anything. No.
You don't want to talk? I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Number 7, ordinance 2023-0-19, an ordinance amending Title IX of the Johnson County Code of Ordinances, first reading. No, there's a red line in there.
Hold on. This is golf carts, right?
This is the golf carts.
Let me get it up here. I got, as you would imagine, a few questions. Where's it at? Here we go. Okay. Earlier on, I took exception to the proof of financial liability. I still struggle with that somewhat, in as much as, and I was going to ask the sheriff there this.
He's gonna make you get up, Sheriff.
Well, he can nod.
I like watching a 90-year-old man walk.
Because I just felt like.
I wouldn't do this to you, Sheriff, just so you know. You know,
Yeah, I'm sorry.
you know I love you, right?
I just felt like that we were really making this a cumbersome process and somewhat costly to the individual. What's a requirement on a 50cc scooter as far as registration and proof of liability and all that?
I'd have to go back and look at it, but I know the liability, if we're talking golf carts even if I go to the county park, I have to have proof of insurance on the county park property there in order to utilize it.
Yeah.
Yes, you do.
And I think all the other county agencies or cities and towns that have them, they make you do that, but I think it's just common sense. We make somebody do it for a car.
Yeah.
We need to do it for that.
Well, but that was going to be my point. For a 50cc moped, there's no requirement for proof of liability or registration. The other thing that, I should have made notes on this. I could have gone a little quicker. On the $100 registration fee, again, I think that's a little high. I have proposed $25. I would be agreeable to a $100 registration fee if it was a one-time application and you didn't have a renewal process. So once you got it, it was there and it's good. And then the other thing on the registration identification decal, is that transferable? So let's say you got it on your golf cart and you buy a new one, can you just put it on the new one?
I don't know that we discussed that.
We didn't discuss it. I mean,
So that would be something to
I don't think
consider,
it-
whether it's transferable.
I don't think it would need to be another $100 registration fee,
processing
but some
fee or
kind of.
something.
We can make
Well,
that
if you,
process easy.
because the registration of it, what's the purpose of the registration? It's simply to identify who the owner is and that he has the golf cart, right?
Right.
So switching golf carts doesn't change ownership and the fact that they've got the golf cart. So I would like to see that incorporated in there. So $100 registration fee or for the interim, there would be perpetuity, I guess, and then make that transferable.
Sounds like we need to rehash this out a little bit before we take any action on it.
Yeah, probably. And then under designated neighborhood roads, I don't know why we would stipulate Whiteland Road, State Road 135, County Road 144, Morgantown Road. Those obviously aren't in subdivisions.
We had looked at the county map and those were some of the roads that were. Was it Morgantown that's right by the park? At least that one for sure is the fear is that you'd have people leaving the subdivisions to drive to Independence Park.
Yeah, independent.
And with that road, even though the speed limit is
35.
35.
people oftentimes are clipping at 55 and it's a hazard for both the cars and the people on the golf cart.
But
So
you cover that under your speed requirements, speed limit requirements, and the fact that they have to be constrained to subdivision. So I just think that you really don't need that in there, but let me see if I can find something else here to complain about.
But while you're doing that, let me, sometimes you're put in obvious places for good reason. I want to tell you 2 golf cart stories I've got just from this weekend. First golf cart story I have is across US 31, north of Franklin. Golf cart sitting on the edge of the road, decides he's going to go across US 31 on the north or southbound lane. Causing several people to slam on their brakes because he thought he was going to get across there quicker than what he did. Went to the center median and then continued to turn north and go up the center median in the grass till he got up about 300 feet. Then decides he's going to go across the road again out from the median. And this is a gentleman of probably, I'd say, mid-age or a little older. Really, really dangerous. And I think if someone wants to be that irresponsible, I'm not going to say it. If someone wants to be that irresponsible, I think it needs to cost them a lot of money. Second story I'm going to tell you is I'm going down County Road 450 down by my area. 3 young kids, teenagers on a golf cart built for 2. One of them standing on the back of the golf cart, holding on to the golf cart rack. When they pop over the hill, they're across the yellow line on my side. I had to pull over and hit my mirrors on the trees on the side of the road because we don't do a very good job trimming that road. Somebody doesn't.
They're working their way down.
Somebody doesn't. I don't know if it's you or the right of way.
Sorry, Luke.
My question would be is if I didn't have the reaction time to get out of the way of those people and I hit those people, number one, who's going to die? Me or them? Number 2, who's going to get sued for that when they do? Me or them? I have a real problem with what we're about to approve because we have people that don't have enough sense to be doing what they're doing. So why don't we let them prove liability? Why don't we let them register so we know who they are? And why don't we make them put their golf carts in the condition they're supposed to be in to be on the roads if we're going to do it? And I don't care if it's a neighborhood road or if it's a county road or a state road. For some reason, I was put in those 2 positions over this weekend to come and discuss this. And I just want to make sure if that happened to me twice over the weekend, who else did it happen to and where else is it happening where we're not holding these people responsible for what they're doing? And that's in the story. My vote's going to be no regardless. You can't fix it for them to be able to be on the roads with those items. They're not safe to be on roads in this county. Thank you.
Well,
I'm off my
actually,
soapbox.
actually codifying the use of them through an ordinance like this kind of sets the parameters in place to put emphasis on how illegal those operations were and would be. So
And what a better way than for it to cost them something, Ron?
the what?
What a better way for it to cost them something, time and having to do what they should do to make it proper and
Yeah, I-
cost in making them pay knowing they've got some liability in this issue.
We've got,
That's-
and
that's my point.
this thing spells out the fines for abuse or misuse, so we've codified that through here. We've got the registration. and
Yearly
the fee
registration.
attached. I think we've got what we're looking for in here. The thing that I keep talking about that I like specifically in this, it's subdivision use. So country roads out there, you're always going to get that, I think, out in the country because they're just less traffic and they're kind of used to running from down the road to the barn or whatever. But you're always going to have people that are going to break the law, especially when it comes to vehicle use. So those are the things that I would recommend that we look at changing on this. Beyond that, I don't have a problem with it.
I'm making a motion to move it to a different meeting and get this more clarified if that's what we're looking at.
You want to table it, you say?
Yep.
Okay. Well, if he wants a table, I'll second that, and we can we can talk about it some more. Sheriff, I hate it. You had to get up, buddy.
You're fine.
Yeah.
You're fine. Oh, those tape measures, accident reconstruction, guys.
Told you, what'd I say?
Yeah, you did.
Reconstruction. We need them too. You gotta measure. You can't step that one off, can you, Sheriff? I have a motion and second to table ordinance number 2023-0-19. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Claims and credit card.
Well, I had several claims for the sheriff, and he answered those prior to our meeting, but I do have one. The health department bought a bariatric wheelchair for Whiteland High School for $348.59. And I know the health department spends some money, not an awful lot, providing various things for the schools. I was just a little bit concerned about this one as to why they would be furnishing a bariatric wheelchair to a high school. I think it kind of opens the door. Now you're going to have maybe another high school come along and they need whatever in the way of medical equipment or devices, and they want to know why the health department aren't
Have
stepping
you
up.
talked to Betsy on the need?
No, I haven't. I
Okay.
thought she'd be here today, but anyway, that's the only claim that I've had a question on, other than what the sheriff answered. So I'll move to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Commissioner minutes, regular meeting 7/10/2023 and ARPA committee meeting 7/10/2023.
Move to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Appointment of trustee to the Johnson County Memorial Hospital Board. That is for Mr. Umberger.
Can I back up just a second?
Sure.
Betsy's on Zoom.
Oh, is she? Hi, Betsy.
Can you let her in?
Okay, can everybody hear me?
We hear you.
Okay, the reason behind that wheelchair is that's part of,
Hold on, Betsy. See if we can get the volume up on it.
how
Okay,
about now? Okay, the reason that we agreed to purchase that wheelchair is that's part of our crisis co-ag school grant. And the state mandates that if schools request something that they can't afford, then we are required by our grant to purchase that for them.
I got no idea what she said.
She said the state requires them to purchase it for it if they can't afford it
By the grant.
by the grant.
It's in the grant that they, if the school can't afford it on a major piece of
You're
equipment.
telling me
like that.
Wyland High School can't afford $348.59?
It's been a hard year for them.
What?
It's been a,
been a
she
hard
said
year
it's been
for
a hard
them.
year for them.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Thanks, Betsy.
Thanks,
Mhm.
gentlemen.
That just goes to show that there's always strings attached to everything the state or federal government give you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
SB 4.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thanks, Betsy.
Definitely. Uh-huh.
Is there anybody else on Zoom before I? go on? What's the speak? Back to appointment of
Might turn
trustees
her off.
to the Johnson County Memorial Hospital.
don't wanna-
Working from,
That might not be for public consumption.
appointment of trustee to the Johnson County Memorial Hospital Board. Again, that was Mr. Umberger is the request there.
I would move to approve Mr. Umbarger. He has done a good job on the
Yeah.
board so far and hopefully will continue to do so.
I would second.
I have a motion, and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries. Public comment. Anything, anyone?
Then also, I'd just like to thank all the fair board members. I think it was a very successful fair, thankless job. Those people put in hundreds and hundreds of hours for the great pay that we get. So
Absolutely.
just want to thank them for their efforts and everybody that's involved with that out there.
Who won the Fair Queen? I never,
Jenna Kelsey.
Jenna Kelsey. Congratulations to Fair
Yeah.
Queen Jenna Kelsey, by the way. I
So-
hadn't heard that yet,
Yep.
even though I was out there. I don't care. Anyway,
We were there that night. We just didn't stay till 10 o'clock.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to adjourn. Thank you.